If my case concludes, is it really over? That depends on a whole lot of things. It depends on how your case was concluded. The best conclusion on a case is it gets dismissed. State files a motion to dismiss, or your attorney advocates on a motion to dismiss, and it gets granted. And at that point, you're done. You're completely done. You owe the court no more obligations. So in that situation, it's finally over. The next step is then trying to get the arrest expunged, if you can. That's the best way to get your case concluded. Now, another way of getting a case concluded is a diversion agreement. If your case is concluded by a diversion agreement, that means you in the state of Indiana got into an agreement that they would not necessarily take you to trial on the case or have you plead guilty on the case to get a conviction, to allow you the opportunity to prove to them that you can do whatever you need to do, paying a fee, taking classes. If you complete that successfully, then your case gets dismissed. So in that situation, your case is not really concluded. It's not really over if you get into a diversion agreement. Courts will normally set it out for a compliance hearing, so you show proof of your completion of what you need to do. A lot of counties will have you pay what's called a diversion user fee, so you have to pay that and show proof that you paid it, get a receipt from the clerk's office that you paid that fee. Another way is if you had to do community service work as part of a diversion agreement. Well, you got to go to a nonprofit agency, do your community service work, show proof that you completed it. A lot of them want also letters and the agency's letterhead showing proof that you've completed it, and then you turn it into the court to show that you've completed that portion of the diversion agreement. And again, there are a number of things that the prosecutor can have you do. If it's a drug-related offense, they may have you take a substance abuse course. If it's a theft case, a shoplifting is your first time getting arrested for it, they may have you take a theft class. Or behavioral modification class is usually what they call it. So there's a number of things that you'd have to do. And then at that point, your case is not concluded. Because remember, the prosecutor is just withholding prosecution on the case. That means if you don't do what you're supposed to do, they will bring the case back up. And another thing too with diversion agreements is usually they'll have a provision. If you get arrested on a new offense for 1 or 2 years, then they'll bring the case back. So at that point, your case is not over, even in a diversion agreement. Now, another way that your case concludes is either you take a plea or you go to trial and you're convicted of the offense, and if you're ordered to do probation or home detention or something like that. You know, when that happens, yeah, your case is over in a way, but you're under the court's supervision. So you're on probation and you have to do a number of things while you're on probation, or you're on home detention and you have to serve a sentence at home. At that point, the court is monitoring your progress. So your case is not over until you're completely done with probation and completely done with your sentence. So in that situation, your case has not concluded until your very last day of probation or home detention. Now, another way your case is concluded is you go to trial, you're found not guilty, and at that point, case is completely done and over with. You're found not guilty. And the state of Indiana cannot bring the case back up anymore. They don't get another bite of the apple in that situation if you're found not guilty, either through a jury trial or through a bench trial in front of a judge. So that's another way that your case is concluded. So again, there are certain situations where your case is completely over with, whether it's dismissed or you're found not guilty. And there are some situations where if you're in a diversion agreement or you're on probation or home detention, your case is not over really until your last day of your sentence. If you have more questions about this and want to know if your case is completely over, please call us at the Marc Lopez Law Firm at 317-632-3642. And remember, always plead the fifth.